1 second. All right. Welcome, everyone. For those who don't know, Pardon the Interruption is a sports talk show on ESPN with kind of a unique format. Basically, they have a list of topics to discuss with a timer on each topic, and it makes it kind of interesting. They usually have news stories, typically something that can be controversial or something that at least inspires discussion throughout the community, and they'll talk about each of those topics for a set time period, and then they move on to the next topic as soon as the bell rings. So we're going to be doing a Smash version of that, focusing on recent Smash happenings throughout the competitive community. And let's see here. Looks like we're going to start with Smash 4. So Smash Brothers for Wii U has been announced for release later this year for both Wii U and 3DS. The 3DS, of course, coming out first. After the recent surge of growth that we've seen for the Smash community in general, Hugs, what do you think Smash 4 will mean for the competitive community in particular?
Well, it's only going to make it get bigger. That's number one. Number two, I don't know what it's going to do to live tournaments because of that whole wireless problem and at big tournaments. And then lastly, I don't know if it's going to commercialize the whole community too much. To the point where we're going to start playing tournaments with people that we have no chance of actually hanging out with and shit like that. So that's my big concern. It'll definitely get bigger. There's no question about that. But what it's going to do to the foundation we built, I don't know. That's a mystery.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. There's no question that the community is going to get bigger for sure, and chances are the game itself will probably be better than Brawl, but as far as the logistics of specifics that you mentioned, part of the reason why the Smash community is so tight-knit now is because you have to get together and play and stuff like that. So with the whole online thing and everything, I think that'll introduce something interesting. The biggest interesting thing to me is that they're putting the 3DS version out months and months before the Wii U version. As far as the competitive community is concerned, that's not really legit, I don't think.
Are we gonna consider them legit? The 3DS champions. Are we gonna consider them? That's my question.
Yeah,
are we
man.
Give them the same kind of clout.
Yeah, that's really tough to tell. To me, the vibe I get is that the 3DS version will just be a warm-up for everyone. Everyone can sort of learn the game a little bit and get into the swing of things. And then when the Wii U version comes out, everyone will be coming out swinging. Yeah. But
and then,
I don't see
later, the 3DS guys will get established separately. You know what I mean? After we establish the real champions on the console version. Right?
There will be the 3DS specialists. Yeah, for sure. I definitely think that'll be the case too. But I mean, at least as far as the gameplay I've seen, the game looks more promising than Brawl for sure. So I'm excited for it in that sense.
Definitely excited. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right. So moving on, we got Smash as an esport. So we know that we had the recent pickups by Team Liquid and everything. Smash has started to look more and more like a traditional esport along the lines of StarCraft, League, Dota, games like that in general. So as far as sponsors and being an esport in general goes, do you have any predictions for other teams that might get into it or top Smash players that are likely to get sponsored?
I think teams that are going to need to get into it eventually, I think they will. Probably going to be EG. Probably going to be some of the bigger league teams. I've already heard rumblings on some league teams here and there. I don't think Complexity will ever join in. They've never struck me as the type to really get into something that Smash is, but I don't know. We'll see. I think it might be too kiddie for them. I'm not sure.
Right.
But EG, I think, will, definitely. I don't know if they'll be the next guys. I think when it gets big enough, they're definitely going to be around. I think you got to, with all these teams, sticking their hands in our honey, I think, you're going to need some of these other teams. They're going to want to join in on it.
Oh, for sure.
And player-wise, I hope to God it's the big five. I hope they're doing the right things to make sure they get sponsored. Otherwise, they're doing something wrong.
Right.
Other than that, it's going to be all about personality after the top 10, I think, to be honest. That's my prediction. It's just going to be the players with the biggest marketability.
For sure. I mean, I definitely agree. HBox has already been sponsored by Team Curse, obviously, but the rest of the big five still have yet to be picked up by really any major esports teams. So I'm really looking for those four. Yeah, those four players in particular will probably be the the ones that sponsors are really looking at. But as far as specific teams, I pretty much agree with you. I think that any big league teams, any big Dota teams, it's a great time for them to get into Smash right now. So they're probably going to be looking to do that. And I feel like if right now it's the time to get sponsored. I mean, before Evo and MLG, like I feel like it's kind of this sweet spot where the community just blew up, but those big tournaments haven't come up yet. So I feel like we're going to see a lot more signings in the next couple of months.
And if you're signed now, you can carry over that notoriety into Smash 4. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think when the game comes out, the sponsor can be like, oh, well, we don't know if he's good at Smash 4 yet. Let's just drop him. No, like they're just gonna
exactly
keep pushing on their players.
I mean, that's how it works with other games too. Like if a sequel comes out, the pro players are gonna stay pro pretty much. So
yeah.
Okay, so then we got LCDs versus CRTs. This is a very interesting subject. So the ease of access of LCDs is mainly what makes them preferred for a lot of majors, especially fighting game majors, including EVO. And studies seem to show that there's ways to reduce lag to near zero on LCD monitors. So keeping that in mind, that if you can essentially reduce the lag to zero, do you think it's time for the community to make that switch to LCD monitors?
So I got a chance to play on an LCD monitor with that whole EVO setup when they brought it down to an SSS here in SoCal. And it's cool, and it works perfectly. Like, I cannot tell the difference. But what I'm hearing from other players is that we need to get someone like Westballs or, just some super technical monster to get on this setup, and then they'll tell us, But what I try to do is I try to do, like, the highest tech crap that I got, like the one frame window type of crap, and just to see if, like, it stops me from doing it, and it didn't. So, I don't know. I think it's perfectly fine. That's my opinion, but I'm a Sam's player, so people don't really understand when it comes to, like, windows of opportunity. So
right. Well, so Westballs didn't get to try that setup that day, or what?
No, he was there, but I don't know if he actually played on it. I don't know if he actually played on it. Yeah, he might have not been like around when they had it in there. But Larry tried it. But then again, he's also like the slowest Falco on
I was gonna say he's like a brawl player Falco. That's like not the same. But
I don't know. It's still up in the air.
Yeah, I mean, I have not personally tried it, so I'm very much like open to it. Obviously, like the things that I mentioned, like the fact that it's so much easier to access, the fact that they use it for other games already, so they can just cross it over into Smash. Like CRTs are specifically for Smash, kind of. No other competitive game still uses them, so the fact that we need those specifically makes us like an exception to the rule. Like
when I get a hotel, I get hyped if they have like a shitty TV. That's to me is like that's the best hotel room I could get. When they have an HD LCD, I'm so pissed. Like,
yeah, dude.
Get it out of here,
I hate that. It's like every hotel room now has like a HD TV. But I mean, for the longest time, like HD or any flat screen was just like a Smash player would just see that and be like, nope, like that's it. But I mean, the fact that there's like a possibility of those being legit now is at least good in my opinion. We have yet to see, I guess, if it's really applicable for tournaments on a large scale, but the promise is there.
It looks really nice too. If you haven't seen it looks nice too. Yeah.
HD, sweet.
Yeah.
All right. So next topic, ways to grow the scene. So we know that the community is exploding right now, but how can we as players make sure that we're doing everything in our power to not only foster the community's growth, but also attract new players that haven't gotten into it yet?
So whenever I go to tournaments and I run into new players, and I know they're new players, like I'll try to get a vibe for how they're feeling about the tournament in general, right? If they're feeling like all beat up and down because they just got destroyed, I try to give them a stock, you know what I mean? Like I'll give them a stock or two or whatever when I'm playing with them. Or I'll give them some tips, and I try to give them like mind-blowing tips that are just super logical, like space control and things like that, and just like holding your ground and not just and rolling when your opponent is committing to an area rather than just rolling on reaction, just rolling on habit. So like you tell them things like that, and they're like, whoa, this is crazy, and this guy's like giving me all kinds of tips. Everyone must be like, this is awesome. I'm gonna keep coming around.
Yeah.
So there's those guys, and then there's the stream monsters. I think we need to get our stream numbers bigger, even though they're getting big now. They're obviously growing. I'm not sure how to get stream numbers bigger though. You got your cursing, you got ads, and you put ads on the stream, and then you end up getting numbers. We don't all have our own personal ads. So how would you suggest it? Like just getting these numbers up,
I mean, one big thing I think for the Smash community in general is to start using Twitter more. I know you do, and I know a lot of Smashers have been getting into it, myself included. I only recently started doing it, but it's insane like how popular you can get, like your streams, like any articles you write, anything like that, just by tweeting them out. Like there's a big community there that just constantly looks at new stuff, and I feel like it's the best way to like announce something new. People will get that information the fastest and stuff like that. So I definitely think that Twitter is huge. I think that there's specific ways to make tournaments more appealing to new players. I was going to talk about Nintendo has a new tournament series that he's hosting. It's outside DC in like a really good spot for nightlife in general. And he's also got like some beat up old controllers that he's renting out. So if there's players there that want to play Smash but don't have a controller, they can get in on it. So, I mean, that's a great way. There's a lot of different things you can do, I feel like, to grow the scene at this point since the numbers are so big in general.
That's good.
All right, so next we got branding. Hugs, you obviously wrote an article that's had a lot of success already about branding and what it means for both newer and more experienced players. So basically my question to you is what prompted you to write that, and if you have any specific examples of either good branding or bad branding.
Well, the direct inspiration was the bigger players that just weren't getting it done on Twitter or their streams or whatever, because they're obviously good, and I think almost every Smasher on the planet knows about them, like of their name, but then they don't connect with these guys too much, and so to not call anyone out, I think I'll just leave it in terms of like rankings. Right. I'm thinking if you're like top 20 in the nation, there's no reason you should have less than 1,000 followers on Twitter by now. If you are in the top 10, you should be hitting 2,000. And if you're in the top 5, you should be hitting 5,000. And I think with that kind of notoriety, that's easy to pull off if you're doing things right.
Yeah.
So I wrote it in a way to help guide some people into like getting their followers going, getting just people to listen to them and just support them, And new players could benefit too, from just figuring out how to get their personality. I know when I first started, I wasn't that good, right? But I was already talking shit on the boards. I was already out there. So it's like people would just talk about me, even though I definitely did not deserve it yet,
Right.
People would talk about me, and then I'm a name. So hopefully that helps other people.
Oh, for sure. I mean, any player can do that, and ideally you don't want to create a brand for yourself as, like, a player that's known for, like, infamous player who's not actually that good but has a personality and you're known for that. Ideally, but I agree with you that, it's an informative article either way. It's a good thing to know as a player in general, especially with Smash blowing up the way it is. There's going to be so many people paying attention to you, especially if you're streaming, if you're on videos, whatever it might be. If you're entering a big tournament and doing well, people are going to be paying attention to you. So it's important to make sure that they have the perception of you that you want them to have. And I think that your article does a really good job of going into that.
What's your brand, dude? 5 seconds. What's your brand, dude?
My brand, I think, is egotistical, funny, and that's pretty much it. All right. Okay, so moving on, we have, of course, the Fraud Player Fund. So the way I saw it was basically a donation drive intended to take a player who everyone thinks is really good in their region and take them to SoCal, which is arguably, of course, the best region in the world, and bring them down a notch. That's the way I saw it. So what inspired you to start this, and is that basically what the fund is for?
Pretty much. I think we were on a thread, and everyone was just talking about a certain player. I forget who. It was either Soft or Gravy, and we were saying, man, if they were in SoCal, they would just get beat up. And I just thought, dude, why don't we start a fund? Because every time, NorCal has a good player fund, right? And every time they have it, everyone votes for their favorite guy. I was like, no, I want to see this guy get fucked up, so I want to fly this guy out. So that's how I would think about it, right? So I'm like, why don't we just start a fund? And that's the exact purpose. So it's like, in order to make it like all in good fun, we pick players that we feel are good. Like they are good, and it'd be a challenge, and it would actually mean something if we just beat them down. If we just bought some random guy and then just destroyed him and he got 25th, it wouldn't mean anything. It wouldn't prove anything, right? So we brought these players that are actually well regarded, and the winner was Club. And he's coming out in 2 weeks, May 11th.
Right.
So, we're excited to see how he places. We got killers out here, man. Sanskrit. Like, you could just name it. I could give him Okami. I could give him Larry. I could give him Sung. I could give him MacD. I could give him Lucky. I could give him Fiction. Like, I could just keep going, Right. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I watch those Super Smash Sundays, and the level of competition is just absurd out there, I got to say. Like, there's always, like, you'll be watching, like, not even losers quarters. It'll be, like, ninth place match, and it's like 2 players that would win a local tournament in any other region.
Yeah, exactly. Would you have wanted to be invited? I didn't want to have you go because I felt like you put in your stripes. Like I don't even want to put you in this kind of fun.
Well, I appreciate that.
Someone voted a Korean DJ too. I was like, no, I'm not gonna ask Korean DJ. I'm not gonna ask Ken. I'm not like,
yeah, no, I appreciate that you didn't call me a fraud, but I kind of expected to be like one of the players nominated or whatever, just because I'm the best in MDVA, and like MDVA is kind of like a fraudulent region these days, unfortunately. But yeah, no, I like the idea, man. I honestly though, I would love to see Plup go there and mess some shit up. I'm just saying.
Oh, you want to do this? You're one of those guys? All right. Trying to stop it.
All right. So coming up, we got the 5 Gods of Melee. Everyone knows these 5 guys. They've been the best for years and years, and they're just a cut above everyone else. They consistently place in the top 5 of every major around. My question to you, Hugs, are these guys unbeatable? And if not, then who do you see breaking into that top 5?
I don't think they're unbeatable because at first I thought Mango was just on a different tier, and I didn't think anyone was going to catch up to him. And then Armada happened, and then PB started catching up, and then Muta King decided to get his shit together. So, I don't think they're unbeatable. I think the next guy to make it in, and it's pretty obvious for everyone, is probably Leffen. I think there's always been this rule where if you haven't done it by now, it's not going to happen. Like if you've been playing for a long time.
Yeah.
But I think things are changing. I think everyone's starting to take this a little more seriously. So like the number 10 from 2 years ago, he might be like taking it as seriously as a number 5 would now. So he might break through, So I think Leffen. Right. I don't think this 20XX hack shit is going to work out. I think he's got to go back to Falcon. And I think if PPU gets his movement down like solid, like I know he like tries to sometimes, I think he can break through.
That's interesting. I love PPU. I love his style and everything. I don't see him breaking into the top 5 though. It might just be Marth as a character, but Hacks, that's really interesting what you said about Hacks. As far as I've talked to him recently, it seems like he's set on Fox. It seems like he's not going back to Falcon regardless, but I mean, he went down to the last game against Nintendo and switched to Falcon, so when the going gets tough, it's hard to say, but
it's hard to switch mains nowadays, man.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Like regardless of if you're switching to a better character or not, it's hard to switch mains. But I agree with you that Leffen seems to be the most likely to break into the top 5 right now.
We'll all change our mind if he gets messed up at like MLG Anaheim or something.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh no, we never really thought he was.
Yeah.
People forgot he just right before that he got 13th at Evo, right?
Yeah.
No one's really that hyped about that, and if he got it now, people would consider that like an upset.
I think his Apex performance was so good that people were like, okay, this guy's like on par with those guys because he was able to take matches off multiple of them, including beating HBox and taking matches off all the other ones. So he's shown that he has the possibility of doing that for sure. All right, and so moving into kind of a different realm here, Project M, of course, a mod of Brawl to play like Melee, and it's gotten tremendously popular over the years. It's been out for 2 or 3 years now. It's gotten more and more like Melee and obviously better and better as a game. But many Melee enthusiasts actually don't like it very much. They claim it's not quite the same as Melee and you can't really recreate such a perfect engine. So my question to you, Hugs, is Project M good for the Melee scene?
For the Melee scene, like for us to grow, or just should we be liking it?
Yeah, or for the Smash scene in general, let's say that.
No, I think it's definitely good. It's kind of crazy that we were able to just create this. When it first came out, I thought, this is stupid. It's not going to grow. Like, you're making this game by yourself. Like, who's going to play this shit seriously?
Right.
And then it just started blowing up. It's a cool game. There are some things I don't particularly like about it. Like, it's freaking hard to kill people. Like, edge guarding is way too hard.
Yeah.
But I think it's very good for the scene. I think with Brawl kind of having trouble right now, it's good that we have another game kind of stepping up and just keeping like multiple Smash games at these big tournaments. Like CEOs picking up Project M, and that's crazy to me. Like,
right.
So yeah, I feel you're more of a player in this. So
yeah. I mean, part of what you mentioned right there, like since Brawl was kind of a disappointment and everything, especially in MDVA, we see so many Brawl players who like just the game itself, Brawl seems to be dying on a competitive level. So those people have crossed over to Project M and had a lot of success. So it's kind of cool to see that like Melee players versus Brawl players, like they have their own distinctive styles kind of in Project M. But I definitely think it's good for the community as a whole. as far as for the Melee community specifically, there's a chance that it's not necessarily the best because I feel like any new player who gets into it and sees either Melee and they see Project M, they're not going to have the motivation to want to get to that level in Melee where they can just pick up Project M, start doing these combos, start beating people right off the bat. In Melee, you cannot do that. You need at least a certain level of tech skill to be able to compete with good players. Project M, not so much. There's a lot of like, quote-unquote gimmicks, but it's true that in Project M, at least if you don't call them a gimmick, you at least need to know the matchups before you're able to do really well. So I think that in a sense, like, it helps out new players a bit too much, but as a whole, it's definitely good for the community.
Yeah, definitely. I don't like how some people who would have gone to Melee, though, ended up taking the middle ground, and then they go with,
Exactly.
I mean, that's just bad for Melee. It's right. Good for Smash in general because they stay in Smash. So, yeah.
So, all right. So our last topic here, very interesting. We actually had a leak of a Facebook event showing a private tournament for the top 5 players and a couple of other notable community figures. This was leaked and posted onto Reddit. And this private tournament is apparently a special event being filmed solely for the Armada episode of the Smash documentary. What do you think about this event, Hugs?
So I saw this picture. I think it's bullshit. I don't think it's true. I think someone made it up because, like, you're looking at it, like it says here, like, you are invited to a private 3-day tournament where 3 days for 8 people, right? That's number 1, right? Am I right? Am I reading this right? And then face off against one another. You will also be filmed living together. All right, face off against one another. How is Prague going to do against Armada? Right? How is Scar going to do against Mango? Like, if you're actually making some kind of 8-man tournament, you're picking the wrong guys. But if you're doing like a reality show, all good. These guys are cool. They got good personalities, whatever. But then the reality show is kind of a stretch. It just seems like someone just made this up to just sound as hype as possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if this is true or not. This just seems kind of crazy.
I mean, I can see what you're saying, but I kind of see it being legit. Like, first of all, I think that Travis Samox was responding in the Reddit thread to people legitimately, so I think it is legit for that reason. But second of all, I could see it being like he clearly is going for like a reality show kind of angle with like them living in a house together for 3 days. You don't need a 3-day tournament for 5 people. But I feel like, I don't know if Scar is entering the tournament, but I feel like the tournament's really just for the top 5, and they're probably going to do, like, round robins. They might do, like, first to 10s or some crazy shit like that because they have so much time. Like, I feel like he's really... Obviously, the tournament itself won't be like, oh, this tournament determines who's the best player, but I think it'll make really good, like, film.
It's reality TV, right? So there might be some, like, challenges where Prague gets, like, 4 extra stops on our body or something, you know what I mean? Something like that, dude. Like, Prague ends up with 8 stocks versus Armada's 1 because of the challenges, and then here we go, man. And they're like, it's all legit. Prague is the best in the world.
Oh my god, dude! I would love to see it. Yeah, I'll definitely watch that. The Kickstarter is pretty close already. It's only like 7,000 away from the goal, so they're doing really well.
No question.
But yeah, man, I think the reality show format could be potentially hilarious. For sure. So, but yeah, I think that was pretty solid.
Would you want to be in that house?
Yeah, I would, dude. I'd take the opportunity. If nothing else, that's practice with the top 5, man.
Yeah.
For sure.
Me and Mango, man, we'll be able to rock that house. We'll slap box every single day.
We'll see I wonder if alcohol will be allowed in the house. That'll make a big difference for Mango. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. This is a pilot episode right now. We're going to try to work on the format and everything. I think it went pretty well, though.
Yeah. We'll
sure.
Work on a few different things, like cleaning up our rooms.
Yeah, definitely need to do that. But thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right. Peace out.